Hold on before you get to the video. Your boy just wants to shout you out and say I appreciate you oh so much for your support and attendance on this channel dedicated to building healthy, happy, and whole biblical relationships in your lives and in the lives of others. What you're about to listen to is a clip from a previous podcast interview I did with a coach and life mentor of mine covering marriage, dating, singleness, all of those things, even the topic that is being discussed in this video. And if you want to see the full interview, click the link in the description and don't forget to check it out. Catch you over there. Well, I want to circle back to you mentioning kind of the beginning of the what I call the boss mentality that women have carried, right? The independence, right? INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means, right? They carry a lot of that, right? And I guess it's had a way of infiltrating into that space. What do you accredit that to? Where does that come from, do you think, for
Feminism.
women who come through like that?
Feminism. The rise of feminism. And feminism, unfortunately, has its roots now tangled up with a lot of liberal thoughts and insights that unfortunately are misplaced. And again, we have now tried to eliminate the purpose of a man. I'm a boss B. No, what? No, first of all, people that are, watch this. And man, you can look this up. You can look this up on LinkedIn. You can look this up on any other real professional site, Alignable. You can look at any of these professional, and the women that are real bosses, they're not telling you they're a boss. Man, I promise you, they don't even use that kind of terminology. That right there just lets me know you're not a boss. Just because you own a little business or whatnot, good for you. Good for you. Congratulations for you. We're happy for you. We will clap for you. I'm for you with that. And I really mean that. I'm totally for you with that. But that don't make you a boss, because people that are really bosses, they move quietly because they don't have to announce it. You know it when you see it. See, this is different. So this feminism has come in and said, I'm this, I'm that. Now, to be fair to women, there has been decades of women who have been minimized, broke down, marginalized, abused, mishandled, unseen, turned away from, paid lower wages, all this other kind of stuff. That one lady, Curly Things, she's a little raunchy, but she's got some good stuff to say regarding this whole thing right here, where I think it's important to not to try to compete with men in certain areas, in certain aspects. Just make your way. Sis, make your way in what you do, and find your own path. Do the stuff that you need to do to build your own success or whatnot. But on your way, you don't have to talk about being a boss. Excuse me. Just continue to do what you do. Build your empire, whatever that is, whether it's makeup, hair, nails, finances, whatever it is, do what you do. And if that means that you empower other women on your way up, if you won't be a boss, empower some other women on your way up. Then you being a boss. Don't, and because you're spending too much time talking about men. But if you were really bossing, you be just working, you just be building what you building. You be putting together your organization, doing what you're doing. Instead, you spending time talking about men and pay wage differences. It's been that way for hundreds of years. So the rise of that is we need to be in charge. We need to this. And again, granted, I will say, I understand a large part of why feminism rose and how it came, but it's the origins of feminism, man, are rooted in the wrong places. It's coming from the wrong places. The ideals are coming from the wrong places. Again, this ideal of I don't need a man. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. There's some things that you're doing, sis, that you're probably forcing yourself to do That's a man's job. That's a man's function. You're doing it because you're forcing yourself to do it. So for example, I'll say this. This idea of I'll just have my own family without a man. I want you to think about this for just a second. I'm gonna say this really slow. This idea, Sean, of I don't need a man. Probably the worst idea ever. Because then when a woman says, well, I'm gonna have a family, but I'm gonna do it without a man. Guess what, sis? The male component must still be in the equation for you to be able to have a baby, whether you do it from a surrogate or whether you do it from a insemination. It still's got to be sperm.
Yeah,
that comes from a man, because two women can't make a baby.
can't do it.
So this idea, Sean, of I don't need a man. Yes, there are things you need a man for. Now, granted, somebody's going to see this and say, well, that's the point. I just don't need them to be around. I just need a sperm. No, what you're trying to do is dismiss us as a whole. And if you look at creation from the Christian worldview, you can't do away with men, nor can men do away with women. If men want to have a family, if two men say they want to have a kid, it can't happen between them two, because he can't get pregnant. He has no womb. He has no ovaries. You got to have a woman.
Yeah.
Until we come back together, Sean, and say, this is who I need. And he says, this is who I need. And we get away from that and we get back to God's design, then we'll have a whole struggle here. But all we're doing is continually to fight the design. We're fighting the design, Sean. The design is for us to come together and to be healthy. And watch this, to understand who she is as a female. The scripture tells us that. It says, husbands, dwell with your wife according to knowledge, right? And for females then to understand who a man is and what his purpose and his function is. Everybody likes to talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, but the Proverbs 31 woman, I have to tell you, if you really pause and really dig into that text and start to unpack it, it says that because of her, that her husband
is known.
Man, somebody better come get me. It says her husband is well known because of her. So if you're going to tell me that you're going to be a boss, why don't you pick up Proverbs 31 woman and check her out, because she was handy with the cloth. She was handy with her work every day. She was handy with all these things. And her husband was a beneficiary of that. Some of y'all want to be a boss without your husband getting any recognition whatsoever. She didn't have any problem having her husband be known at the gates where all the other people were making exchanges because of who she was. And this is where we get in trouble, this idea of this is all me. This is all me. No, well then why are you trying to get married? If it goes back to your initial question, if you want to be in a relationship, then you got to be in a relationship, and it won't be about you. It'll be about us. It'll be about us. And before somebody says this, because I know that they will, somebody's going to post this down somewhere in your notes, somewhere in there. Men need to do the same thing too. See, sis, this is what the problem is. You're not listening. First of all, we're talking about men and their difficulties to challenges of going into these scenarios and situations. Of course, men need to, but we're not talking about that. This is what we're talking about. So let's keep context, let's keep text in context here and keep the whole thing in context of what we're having a conversation about. What we're talking about is how men and women move together, and what are some of the barriers, and where did this ideal come from? I'm a boss. This again is a turn off to men. Ooh, I got to say this to you. I don't even know if you're going to ask this, but let me know, and then I'll shut up and I'll rant on it in a minute.
No, drop it all right now.
We do not care how much money you make. I just want you to know that. With one caveat, a man of God who knows who he is and understands his purpose in life will not care how much money you make. We're not intimidated by that. You can make all the money you want to make. You can, a real man, he's like, hey, listen, you can make more money than him as far as he's concerned. My question is do you need him, and does he feel that when he's in a relationship with you? Because if you don't need him, then he's not going to be connected to that relationship. And it won't be because y'all be like, yeah, girl, I was making he intimidated by me when I walk in the room. No, he wasn't. He just felt like you didn't need him. So if you don't need him, then he's gonna kick rocks. It's not about the money that you make. It's do you need him in your life? And if he doesn't sense that, he's going to move on. Y'all be like, he was intimidated by me and how I moved through this. No, we never are. We never are. We never are. I can't stress that enough. We never are. As a matter of fact, we're going to cheer you on. Do what you do. We'll be your biggest cheerleader. Mm-hmm. We'll even let you get the spotlight. We'll let you get the spotlight. We'll be like, hey, do your thing. Former NFL player, cornerback, Nnamdi Asomugha. His wife is Kerry Washington. Mm-hmm. You'll ever see Nnamdi in any of her Instagram posts or any of that stuff. They did an interview several years ago. He was like, man, that's my wife, Shine. See, y'all got it wrong. You got it wrong. We're not worried about that. We're not thinking about those kind of things. That's what happens. He's like, no, you do you. Shine. Get out there and shine. I got you. Why? Because that brother knows Kerry needs me. So he's not worried about how Kerry shines in public. Because at home, he understands he's needed. So he understands his greatest role, watch this, is not in public facing, but in private practice. Y'all gonna make me, let me get off of here. Dude, I'm just telling you, that's what it is, man. So we're not afraid of you being a boss. Joyce Meyer, man. Everybody was like, Joyce Meyer husband, quiet, meek guy. Joyce Meyer traveling all over the world on stages speaking. That brother ain't a bit more thinking about being up on a stage, man. And she constantly refers to him, constantly. But God is shining a light through her on hundreds of thousands, millions of people, books, stages, speaking engagements, all this other kind of stuff. You'll never see, he's never come out and been like, well, Joyce just really should mention me more and I should be here. And it was very difficult to see her shine up there. And I just thought she should be in the kitchen pregnant and barefoot and burying my children and whatnot, letting me go out and do. No, he's never once made mention of that. He's happy doing what he does. That brother's like, man, that's what Joyce doing. I'm over here fishing. Yeah. See, it's all backwards, Sean. The messaging has all been backwards because culture has infiltrated kingdom and has decided to change rules. And it said, this is how this should go down. But if we go back to the original design and we stop fighting it, we will see, Sean, what God has intended for us. And it's a beautiful thing, man, between husbands and wives, man, when they're not competing, but completing one another through him walking in his masculinity and her in her femininity. Those two things were meant to move like a left foot and a right foot, a left foot and a right foot, a left foot, to walk. It brings balance to the rest of their life when they're moving in the thing that God has blessed them with. Femininity and masculinity are gifts from God. And we're trying to distort them by trying to turn them into numbers, right? And values. He's a high value man. He's a low value man. She's a high value. No, we've distorted the gifts that God has blessed us with innately and put in us. Girl, go out there and do what you do. Listen, my wife is a medical professional. She's killing it. She's being in articles, do all kinds of stuff. I go somewhere with her and people start talking to her. You know what I do? I disappear. She's always like, you need to come. I disappear. I don't need to be in all of that. So don't miss it. Anyway, let me leave that alone.
I love it.
We're not intimidated, sis, by your success. We'll be your biggest supporters. You just can't act like you don't need us.